Greetings, viewers. I want to welcome you to another YouTube class. In today's class, we are going to be looking at another group of organisms in biology that is called the Platyhelminthes. The Platyhelminthes. The Platyhelminthes. Like I said, we have been studying the animal kingdom, phylum by phylum, and the phylum before us now is the Platyhelminthes. Let's see how we can digest this word. If we divide this word into two, we'll have platy, then we'll have helminthes. Platyhelminthes. So when we talk about helminthes, we're talking about worms. Worms. And when we say platy or plate, we mean flat. Plates are always flat. So if we combine these two words together, we'll form another word that is called flatworms. And when we talk about worm, we are talking about macroscopic platyhelminthes or nematodes. Members of platyhelminthes and nematode, they are usually classified as worms because of course, their thread-like structure like a worm. So the peculiar thing or the difference between this group of worms, you know, the basic characteristics that makes this group of worms different from the other, which is the nematode, is the fact that this group are flat. The parasites under this group, or the organisms, because all of them are not parasites, the organisms under this group are flat. They are usually flat. And that is why they're basically called the flatworms. Having said this, the next thing to note is the fact that members of this group are dozo, ven, ventrally flattened. So we also know that members of this group are dorsal-ventrally flattened. What does it mean to say that an organism is dorsal-ventrally flattened? Now, this is a ventral view. This is a side view or the lateral view. Then, of course, this is the dorsal view. So, when you say that an organism is dorsal-ventrally flattened, that means that at the front view and the back view, that organism is flat. And this is one of the peculiar characteristics of this flatworm, especially the tapeworm. They are usually flat, ventrally and dorsally. That is what we mean by dorsal-ventrally flattened. The front view and the back view. Then it's also important to understand that members of this group are also triploblastic. Triploblastic. When we say that an organism is triploblastic, that means that it has three germ layers, three true germ layers, Remember, that of the sponges are not even called the germ layers; they are called cells. They are not well developed tissues. The organisms within the lowest form of organization after protozoa. So, but in this case now, you discover that members of this group have well-formed germ layers that are triploblastic, and we have the ectoderm, or have mesoderm. They'll now have endoderm. So, ectoderm, the outward, external, the mesoderm, the middle, then endoderm, the inner. Okay? All right. Then, having known this now, it is also important that you understand another characteristics, which is very paramount, very important. The concept of cephalization. Cephalization. This is the first time I'll be using this word since we started studying the animal kingdom, or the animal kingdom. This is the first time I'll be using this word cephalization. When we talk about cephalization, we are talking about the concentration of the sense organs in a definite part of the body that is known as the head. And the group of organisms to uh, first show this civilization when it comes to the animal kingdom are the platyhelminthes. They are the first to show civilization. What do I mean? I mean that it is it was first discovered in platyhelminthes, or the head was first discovered in platyhelminthes. So if you look at protozoa and look at peripheria and look at cnidaria, there is no part of this organism. If I give you the drawing of a protozoa or of a peripheria, there is no part of this organism that you can call the head. That means that there is no concentration of sense organ in a definite part of the body that can be called the head. But in the case of platyhelminthes, if you look at platyhelminthes, there is a section of platyhelminthes that you can actually call the head. For instance, we have platyhelminthes that look like this, usually equipped with the suckers, like in the tapeworms. So I can comfortably call this the head. Eh? Then the segments will now be formed here, as the case may be. Hmm? So this cephalization started from platyhelminthes. Is important you know this. That means that other organisms from nematodes, annelida, arthropoda, echidodermata, all these ones are cephalized. So cephalization started with platyhelminthes. Then it is also important to note that members of this group are also acylominthes. Acylominthes, I think I've mentioned this before. They are acylominthes. Acylominthes. When we say that an organism is acylominthe, that means that it's devoid of xylem. And what is xylem? That fluid-filled cavity that is lined by the mesoderm. That is what we call the xylem. So this is the last group, of the animal kingdom or the animal phyla that does not have xylem, because the next group of organisms we are going to study, which is nematoda, have a kind of a xylem that is not well formed, and that is why the xylem is called pseudoxylem. All right. Members of this group also have excretory system made up of flame cells. So if you look at the excretory system, one basic characteristic is that they are made up of cells that are referred to as the flame cells. These cells help them to carry out excretion. And of course, you should also know that they lack excretory, sorry, they lack respiratory and circulatory system. Eh? They lack respiratory and circulatory system. Yes, that is another characteristic of members of this group. And they also lack digestive system. There is no need for digestive system in the body of this organism because they are battered with pre-digested food within the intestine of the host, and they take up this food through simple diffusion. So there is no need for this organism to begin to digest its own food before absorption. So these are some of the characteristics of members of this group, Platyhelminthes. We'll now look at the classes. Now look at the classes. So the first class is the Tobellaria. The Tobellaria. So the first class is Tobellaria. Now, in Tobellaria, the characteristics that they have a ciliated body. If you look at their body, you discover that their body is kind of ciliated. They have ciliated body, and they're also free living. Of course, you know that an organism can either be a parasitic organism or a free living organism. So the ones that are parasitic live in or on the body of the host, deriving nourishment at the expense of the host. So in this case now, they are free living. That means they live independently in the environment. And of course, a typical example is the planaria. The planaria is a popular member of Tobellaria. Then there's absence of cuticle. This cuticle can be found in members of Trematoda and Cystoda, but is absent in members of this group. And of course, they are found in aquatic environments. Uh, you can see them majorly in aquatic environment, though some can also live on land, but majority are found in aquatic environments. So that's the first one, Tobellaria. The second one is Trematoda. Trematoda characteristics: members are unsegmented. Unsegmented. Then cuticle is present. Cuticle is present. Mm. Then of course they have what's it called again? They have hooks and suckers. They have hooks and suckers. Mm, that okay. Let's just explain. Let me explain this too. Let me explain this too. So when it comes to nematoda, one major thing you should know about them is that the body is unsegmented. Unlike in the body of tapeworm, discover that the body of tapeworm is segmented, and each of the segments is called a proglotid. We'll still come to that. So members of this group are not, and they have cuticle. This cuticle is a waterproof-like structure or material that helps in absorption and also help to protect the parasite from adverse environmental conditions. Because members of this group are exclusively parasites. They are exclusively parasites. So there is need to have this cuticle because the cuticle, of course, helps the parasite to uh, you know evade destruction by the host, by the enzymes of the host or by the host enzyme. So the cuticle performs a dual purpose, helps in absorption, and also helps to protect the parasite from destruction by the enzymes of the host, or being affected by enzymatic action of the host. Examples: schistosoma, fasciola. Because we are studying biology, there are a minute. There are some of the examples which we will not mention. Hmm? So there are so many examples which I don't want to mention. Hmm? Paragonimus westermani, the Heterophyes, the Gastrodiscoides hominis, and so on and so forth. Clonosis sinensis. This one. When you are studying parasitology, you can now begin to mention this one. But since we are studying biology, these two are enough. Hmm? The schistosoma. And let me bring back that thing I mentioned before. Another characteristic is that members are also equipped with suckers. So that will lead us to the last class, which is cystoda. Cystoda. So members of this group are segmented. As another characteristic I forgot to mention here, these ones, members of this group are dioecious. Dioecious. What does it mean to be dioecious? I mean, members of the Trematoda, I forgot to mention that they're dioecious, and it means that they have separate male and female. Hmm? They have separate male and female. So the opposite of the dioecious is what we're going to mention under the cystoda. So members of this group are segmented, and each segment, members of this group, cystoda, let me clean up. Members of cystoda, one is that they are segmented, and each segment is called a proglotid. Each segment is called a proglotid. Mhm. Then another characteristic is the fact that they are also equipped with hooves, hooves and suckers. Suckers and hooves they use to clench to the wall of the intestine so that they will not be washed down. Then what again? They are monoecious. This monoecious is same thing as hermaphrodites. Hermaphroditic. They are hermaphroditic, or they are hermaphrodites. So it means that the two sexual organs are found in a single host. And as a matter of fact, in cystoda, they're made up of many segments, and each of the segments have male and female sexual organs. That means that fertilization occurs within each segment. So these are some of the characteristics, and they're also equipped with cortical. They're also equipped with cortical. The same cortical that I mentioned in the case of Trematoda is also found in members of this group, the cortical. And if you look at the proglottids of members of this group, that is the segments, there are three different areas. There are three different areas you will notice, or three different regions. There is a region of proliferation, region of maturation, and detachment. Region of proliferation, maturation, and detachment. So in this case now, you discover that the first region within the segment, just below the neck, is the region of proliferation. That is where new proglottids are formed. Then once you descend, you will now meet the region of maturation. This is where you see the mature segments, the male and the female sexual organs that usually come together to form a zygote, and the eggs are produced within this region. As eggs are produced, they they are being sexual reproduction occurs. Let me rephrase this. Sexual reproduction occurs within this region, and once of course they are done producing the eggs. The eggs are usually stored in the uterus. Then this This is the last region, and this region is called the region of detachment. But then let me say something here. For a segment that has eggs, remember I said that eggs are produced within this region of maturation. So any segment that has eggs is said to be gravid segment. It's called the gravid segment. The segment with eggs is called a gravid segment. Then, like I said, the last region, the last region is the one they call the region, the region of detachment. At this region or within this region, the segments begin to detach. I mean, during the course of the life cycle of this parasite. So when you see or view the physics of an individual that is suffering from either from teniasis, from teniasis, that is teniasis, teniasis, that is the name of the disease for 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 tenia sp, for tenia sp. Of course, you've heard about the tenia cerium and the saginata. So anybody who is suffering from this disease, the person usually pass out the segments, the gravis segments within the physics. And of course, after few hours, the segments are of course broken in such a way that the eggs are released, and the intermediate host picks it and eats it. The cycle continues. I wouldn't want to go into the life cycle. This is not parasitology. This is biology. So the biology of the organism is what we have just looked at now. So that is it about the the tapeworms, which is also called the cystoda. And I've mentioned examples: the tinea solium, tinea and tinea saginata, and tinea saginata. Uh, there are other examples of tapeworm, which I also don't want to go into, or have the Hymenoplepis nana, Echinococcus granulosus, Diaphragmotum latum, Sporometra. So, but these ones are studied under parasitology. So, since we are studying biology, it's good. It's enough to just know that the tinea solium and tinea saginata are the two examples of this group. And don't also forget that members of this group are exclusively parasites. You don't have a free living tapeworm. They have assumed an extreme stage in its parasitic life. So all of them, with no exception, is a parasite. So this is how far we can go. And also don't forget that classification in biology. I mean, in terms of the classes I mentioned only three classes. Classification in biology is also different from classification in parasitology. So in parasitology, you see Tovalaria, Temnocephalida, Monogenoidea, Cystodaria, before and nasty Trumatoda, and Cystoda. But then, let's follow the one we have here since we are studying biology. This is where we'll stop for today. See you in my next class.